All right, we'll call the regular board meeting of Tuesday, May the 24th to order at 6:35. So we're a little bit late. I'd like to acknowledge that today's board meeting is being held within the traditional territory of the Denizah and Treaty 8. Are there any additions to the agenda? Anybody got anything they want to add? Right? Can I have a mover and a seconder to accept the agenda? Moved by David, seconded by Aaron. All in favor? I know I don't totally ever do that right. Maybe one day. We don't have any presentations or delegations tonight. Trustee input and celebrations. We'll start with Trustee Campbell.
I have none to report tonight because I did go on a holiday for the 11 days. When you guys had snow, I had sunshine. Lots of wind, but.
Trustee Evans, do you want to tell us some exciting?
What's exciting? Nothing. I won some plants in Drag Queen Bingo.
Oh, all right.
No, I've just been really busy with school and work, and yeah, school and work. It's been good, but I actually did win some plants in Drag Queen Bingos. You know, that was fun.
Trustee Gillis.
I know there's something and I wrote it down, but I can't remember. I might have been, Earth Day cleanup. I helped at the school. I walked around with the kids and cleaned up garbage, mostly because my dog and cat were out following my kids, so I kind of had to be there too.
Vice Chair Lehman.
Just attended a labor management meeting and was one of the sole attenders at the public financial.
Oh, right.
You were going to forget?
I forgot. I didn't put it on my list.
Other than that, we've been busy, but.
Trustee Scott Moncrief.
Nothing to share at this moment.
Okay. Trustee Snow.
I did the SUPAC, DPAC meeting. Been to the schools visiting, a couple of extra ones too. Went to 2 different schools for presentations. They had workshop that with some groups of kids on the hip hop. It was a hip hop group coming in and teach them how to express themselves and come out of their shells, kind of thing. It was quite interesting. Trying to think what else. I want to say it's it, but I've been busy.
So I've attended SUPAC and DPAC, but I have to tell you I forgot today for the SUPAC meeting, so I let you down. I'm sorry. I've attended PAC meetings for a couple of other schools, Baldonnel and Maury. Judged a couple of public speaking contests, and I've been doing some support for Welcome to Kindergarten, and I've been working on Ready, Set, Learn sessions at Finch, Baldonnel, and Maury, so I am playing. So I'm very happy to say that I got to play. So. Right, we'll move on and take a look at the minute at item 5, minutes of the regular board meeting of April the 25th, which is pages 6 to 13 in your agenda package. Could I get a mover and a seconder for those minutes, please? Moved by Aaron, seconded by Madeline. Any errors or omissions? All in favor? Business arising. So Angela and I did have one meeting to do the form to say that, yes, we were going to present to the Standing Committee on Finance and Government, looked at perhaps some of the areas that we would cover off, but we will in June bring you back a more detailed, we still have some more work to that. We'll bring you back greater detail on what we're going to do here. The other action items from there would come forward at other points, right? All right, we're looking at item number 6 now, which is Bylaw 422 trustee election that we did have, the first reading was done, and then we left the second and the third reading for tonight because Angela wanted to make sure that there had been clarification with the ministry around this, or BCSTA around this. So can you talk about any changes?
Yep. So if we look at 6.2 under website access to candidate nomination. So number 2, we added, and it doesn't really show up in here, so my apologies. The 4th line down, other than a mailing address or residential address of a significant contributor. That was a suggestion from the, it actually went to BCSTA and then they sent it to Harrison Company. So I was dealing with the lawyer from Alyssa from Harrison Co. So
She loves us.
different, not Abigail.
No,
Alyssa, yeah.
yeah.
So then the next change was number 8. And this one is showing up. So we changed the title from election conducted by board to additional advanced voting opportunities. And just at the very end, instead of took out the wording trustee electoral area and put in TEA areas where the board conducts the trustee election on its own behalf. And then number 9, just added at the end, in all TEA areas where the board conducts the trustee election on its own behalf. And then same for, and then number 10, added in all TEA areas where the board conducts the trustee election on its own behalf in order to give electors. So they're trying to cover in case we can't piggyback on the district of Taylor or the PRRD.
Did you say there was a change to 9? Because it's not highlighted in blue. There's a change.
Our change is in 10. That what you said, the change is under 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be a 9 as well.
Okay.
So,
So what does your 9 read? Because
my 9 reads the same. The chief election officer is authorized to establish additional general voting opportunities for general voting day for each election and to designate the voting places and voting hours within the limits set out in the Local Government Act for such voting opportunities in all TEA areas where the board conducts the trustee election on its own behalf.
Okay, so the problem right now is what we have in front of us, that's part of our agenda package, is not the same as what you're reading from. Right. So if yours has more changes in it than what the copy we have in our agenda package, what I would suggest I do is I do a full reading as a second reading, which we wouldn't necessarily have had to do, but there's a number of changes in it. So clarification of process to me would be, first of all, we need to make sure everybody's heard exactly what we're going to put into this bylaw, and what we have in our agenda package is not what you just went through.
Yeah, that's odd.
I don't know. I have what Angela read. I have it in my agenda package. I don't know. There's
I don't have the same words for number
Number
9.
9?
Yeah. It might, sorry,
So Helen, for the second and third reading, if we do them in short form, if you just make sure you read any changes
Yeah.
rather than the
Okay.
whole.
Yeah,
thing.
I
I just wanted to make sure that,
If you read every change, that will cover it.
okay,
Instead of you reading the whole.
I didn't necessarily want to read the whole thing, but
No,
there's
but
enough
if
changes.
you read every single change in
Okay,
the short.
Good idea.
thank you, that's what I was looking for.
So then the other change is the voting day registration only is cut out, is taken out because it was redundant. Yeah, it must be the same as must be mine.
Oh, yeah.
So it's only missing, yeah. I think that was it. That's okay. And then the other one is, sorry, I blew right by it. For 3, we took out, after general voting day, we took out that line and added in number 2, an additional advanced voting opportunity will be held in TEA number 5. 1 and 2. So the only change is an addition in number 9.
Okay. Can you give me more copy?
Can you read my writing? I had to read mine.
Yes. I'm sure I can. All right, so I'm going to proceed with the second reading of this bylaw. Our first reading has already been done, and I'll just highlight the changes that have been made as part of the second reading, and then call for adoption of it. Yep.
Can I make a motion that we do the second and third reading tonight in short form with
Okay.
all the changes to the bylaw?
All right,
And then that will cover,
then that would cover,
Do you need a second for that motion?
yes.
There you go.
Moved by Ida, seconded by Bill. So mover and seconder on short form.
short form and second and third.
Short form, second, third, thank you. Did you get that, Leah? Because we're adding something in. All right. All in favor? Thank you, it's carried. Right, so I will proceed with the second reading in short form, and my short form will just highlight the changes that have been made. So if we look at under required advance voting opportunities, item number 3, we have the last part of number 1 has been struck, and no other advance voting opportunity will be held in all trustee electoral areas. We've added point number 2, which is an additional advance voting opportunity will be held on in TEA number 5, the date specified in the bylaws of the city of Fort St. John, and point 2, for by-elections in TEA number 5, 3 days before general voting day, unless that day is a holiday, in which case the required advance voting opportunity will be held on the 4th day before the general voting day. We did add in that the order names of candidates and ballots will be alphabetical by last name, last time, back on item 2. And then 6 and 7 are the same. We move on to a title change for area number 8. Rather than being elections conducted by the board, it reads additional advanced voting opportunities. To keep things consistent in the last part of number 8, it's been changed from trustee electoral areas to TEA areas for the board. And what's been added is TEA areas where the board conducts the trustee election on its own behalf. In section number 9, additional general voting opportunities, at the end of the paragraph, it is adding in all TEA areas where the board conducts the trustee election or on its own behalf.
Just election on its own behalf.
On its own behalf, okay, thank you. Special voting opportunities, item number 10, in all TE areas where the board conducts the trustee election on its own behalf is a precursor to the rest that we already had. Section number 11 was taken out and changed, and the whole voting day registration only was changed and taken out. Then we have section number of scrutineers at voting places. 11.2 became 11 and 12.3 became number 12. So that is the second reading of bylaw 422, which is replacing bylaw 418. Could I have a mover and seconder? Moved by Ida, seconded by Aaron. Right. And we've already had the acceptance that the reading for number 2 and 3 be done in short form, so we'll move forward with.
But how long we have to call?
Oh, call, thank you. All in favor? This stuff I get rattled on. Call the question. All right. Now we get to move forward to the third short reading. And this is that the Board of Education is looking at bylaw 422 regarding trustee elections, and it's a bylaw to provide for the determination of the various procedures for the conduct of general school elections and other trustee elections. And we have 5 areas. Area 1, Cecil Lake, Goodlow and Clayhurst. Area 2, Presbyterian, Buick, Rose Prairie, Doig River First Nation, Blueberry River First Nations, North Pine, Montney and 101. Area 3, District of Hudson's Hope, Upper Cache, Staycay, the Dene Nation and Williston Lake. Area 4 includes the District of Taylor, Beldonald and Two Rivers. Area 5, City of Fort St. John, the Upper Halfway River First Nation, 101 West, Charlie Lake, Pink Mountain and North. Those are our TEAs. Then we move forward to definitions of what the board is and different terms related to the election, application of the bylaw, required advance voting opportunity, order of names on the ballot, resolution of tie vote after judicial recount, website access to candidate nomination documents and campaign financing disclosure statements, application of local government bylaws because we are involved with our partner districts in this election process. Additional advanced voting opportunities is section 8, 9, additional general voting opportunities, 10 special voting opportunities, and then we have number of scrutineers and title. Could I please have a mover and a seconder to the third reading of that? Moved by Bill, seconded by Madeline. I'll call the question this time. All in favor? Thank you. Area number 7 on our agenda, announcements and reminders. So we're looking to see if there's any additions and changes. We've made sure that North Peace graduation is in there. And we've also put in Hudson's Hope graduation. CSBA dates are in there. If you're interested in attending that, you need to talk to Leah. Any other dates that come to mind that we should be putting in here as we move through the little bit of that's left of May and into June?
Where in Saskatchewan is the CSBA being held? Because Saskatchewan's a big province.
Saskatoon.
Oh, okay.
And it's a joint between the Canadian School Board Association and the National Indigenous Association, and a lot of the focus is Indigenous and reconciliation.
That would be really cool. I mean, I'm not going, but like for somebody to attend, I went to that one in Toronto when it was at the same time, and it was really, really good.
Would be cool, but I have grandbabies with me then, so. All right. Any other additions? All right. We'll move on to senior staff reports.
Thank you, Ellen. Superintendent Report, item number 1, Human Resources Summary Report. Item number 1 under education is the online Superintendent's Report. Just for your reference, it's up on the screen. And I do realize that there's been a heavy focus on Indigenous this year, but there was a tremendous amount of work that went into the Indigenous Day on May the 6th, and just wanted to recognize and profile some of these activities and events that happened. So trustees can view the organizing committee and their different roles, as well as the agenda. Some of you were there. We've gathered some pictures for reference to archive. I went around some of the activities at North Peace. As you know, some of the outdoor events were canceled. However, things like the sweat did go ahead. So there's some information on that. Under human and social development, I was happy to participate in some of the report outs from the school teams on their social and emotional learning programming for the year, and what they're looking to measure and work on for the coming year. For career and skill development, each year the career department produces an Indigenous annual report on the number and types of students involved in the career programs. So that is there for trustee reference. If you go through it, it gives you some numbers in terms of where students are involved in our career programs. Operations and HR, I was also sharing with the SUPAC today that, and discussing with their board chair, that we are in fact feeling a bit tighter than normal. SD60 has been fairly fortunate in the past to fill and have applicants for our regular enrolling positions. That seems to be a challenge this year for the first time that I can recall. However, we are enhancing and using all of the Make a Future options in terms of paid email blasts, supplementary marketing, and doing everything we can, putting it out to networks to see if we can get more applicants. As I announced, the VP position has been filled, and that announcement will come out tomorrow. And that, of course, was a result of some other admin movement and retirements around the district. There have been a few questions here lately around what are the secondary schools doing in their first year of the grad requirements around the Indigenous focused courses. And so I've included here for your review a summary from each of our 3 secondaries. North Peace, the Key Learning Center, Hudson's Hope, and I'm sorry I don't see Presbyterian there, but I will forward that to you. And celebrating as usual at the end here, Duncan Cran, neat reading program. They're quite excited about some of the new furniture they got in their library, and so you can see a picture of that there, as well as some information on the Spaghetti Bridge building competition, which is back in action. Mom Murray always does a terrific job, and it has a great interest in their mini gardens and planting and growing fruit, vegetables, all kinds of things there. So there's some information on that as well. And finally, you may have heard there was some significant success experienced by our district band program, and Trustee Snow was there as well too for our spring band concert. And you know, you could barely fit all of our grade 6 students on stage for the band. We were in band, and they did quite well at our local festival arts and at the Grand Prairie Music Festival as well. My last item is for breakout for a motion, and that is to approve school charges. The Chair Gilbert has pointed out a couple of items that need to be clarified, and we will do that. But overall, I am looking for a motion to support the school charges as attached, and that is my report.
Right. Can I please have a mover and seconder to accept? Moved by Ida, seconded by Aaron. And what we'll do is we'll just go through discussion around each area of the report and then look at the last area where there's a separate recommendation and motion for. So the first part of Stephen's report was his HR summary. Does anybody have any questions related to that? Moving forward to the electronic report. So Liz Logan was a good speaker. I did go to the keynote.
Yeah,
I
she's
was
excellent.
pretty impressed with her.
Yeah.
Any questions related to that, Madeline?
I just have a question on the grad requirement courses.
Yeah, let's go to that.
Are they all for all students? Because sometimes there's certain ones, because I'm just reading there from elders, sometimes that is actually only for Indigenous students. Are all these 5
Yeah.
for
So
everybody?
what these listed there is the courses that are not mandatory. For example, the Learning from the Elders is a BAA course, so locally developed. And thanks for asking that. Those would all have to be vetted, which they're not yet, to qualify. And so right now, I'll just say that it's the English first.
I lost sound. I can't hear anything.
That is going to be all grade 11 students in English First Peoples 11.
Okay.
Whether or not they've taken even some of the Indigenous students that might have taken the other courses, everyone will be taking English First Peoples 11 in grade 11.
I'm just,
Yeah.
do we have to do that next year, or is it the following year it comes in? Are we doing it next year so that we've got ourselves covered to give ourselves time to continue to develop other options?
Well, yes, because we don't want to have grade 11 and 12 students stranded and have to be forced to take a course when they already have things planned. So this way they have maximum flexibility.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what
Otherwise, they would be left with 1 year. If we waited a year, they would be left with 1 year to force everyone to take the same course. This way they have some flexibility. And as Helen alluded to, this is just to get us started, to check off that we're fulfilling the requirement, but our curriculum committee and our staff continue to work on meaningful courses and content to become part of that.
And I was going to say, there are districts, and I think Cowichan comes to
Yes.
mind, and there's another one who, but I can't remember right now, who, as part of their Truth and Reconciliation, are ahead of the curve on this, where they have made the whole district
Right.
take basically the First Nations English course.
Yeah.
As a part of their Truth and Reconciliation.
They have not yet come up with the criteria by which we will then eventually be able to assess our local courses to qualify. Right now, we're ensuring we're in compliance, and we will develop that package as we move along.
I was there one day and saw these little mini gardens, and it wasn't just the mini gardens that was kind of interesting. Is at one point in the Balayahi Center, they had an igloo that was made, and it was
Right.
almost like all vinegar bottles. So then what they did is they recycled those into the mini gardens and cut the top on them and made these little kind of greenhouses. So there's always dirt on the go. And the band is exciting. It's really just exciting to have music festivals and things like that. Yeah.
I won't talk about the band because I should have said, in what I have done. I was in Edmonton the night the band was on, so my daughter had sent me the live link. So I was watching the YouTube link. I saw you on my phone. My niece came into the house and she says, "Why are you not watching it on this big TV?" She quickly watched it. So I watched the whole band.
Good.
So I learned that you could actually do it on a big TV, but your speech I was on a little.
I was the backup. I thought it was pretty funny in the pandemic year of coverage that the regular MC had to back out that night. Mr. Brooks' child was sick, and so they asked me to step in, so I was happy to do it. That's what I used to do, if you remember, for previous years when I was looking after Ben. And anyway, I had a lot of fun, so it was really nice to.
It was really good. I really was glad that I was able to do that.
Yeah.
They put on a great show.
All right. School charges. I know that there's schools that are really thinking about providing students with supplies because they're still trying to collect fees. And they're really worried about what that is. Any comments, questions related to school fees? Could I get somebody to make the requested motion that we approve the attached 22-23 school charges as submitted?
Don't we have to vote on Stephen's report, or am I missing something?
Yeah, we were gonna pull it out and we will at the end. I thought we actually had already. So we can do that now. All in favor of the initial report, and now we'll do this part, and we have David and Madeline as a mover and seconder related to the motion on school charges. Any further discussion on that? All in favor? Right, Secretary Treasurer's Report, page 15.
For my report, I have the financial update to April 30th, a listing of what we will be submitting for our annual facility grant, the HR summary report for the support staff, and that is it.
Okay, so could I get a mover and seconder for that report, please? Moved by Aaron, seconded by Ida. All right. Okay. And now we will, any questions related to the financial update to April 30th? So one of the things on here was that you made the comment that our reserves were going down, but then when I've lost it in my piece of paper. I'll get it from yours because I know right where it is. Right here. Interest income currently on track, but may decline as reserves become exhausted. So when are we exhausting our reserves? Because we're not dipping into them to balance our budget.
No, and but may decline as reserves become exhausted.
So the two pieces because I read that and panicked, but then when we went through the budget,
I apologize. I have no idea what that line.
I don't think I assumed you did not refer to our surplus reserves, but just to, as the year moves on.
Interest income currently on track. It is,
The more you spend in the year, the less interest you're gonna have, no?
Yeah, but this is, it's just going up, and in fact, it's 88%, should be at 80, so we're actually higher than anticipated, so can I just pull up, I'm not too sure why I put that line in there.
Well, I just, yeah.
Pull them all again, sorry.
I think ultimately, though, we're not exhausting our reserves.
It is
the
not
clarification.
touching our
Yeah.
reserves at all. I am not too sure why that,
Well, I went, okay, what am I missing?
You wanted to make sure we were reading.
well, I guess I could pull that, but I'm not too sure why I put that in there. So we're not touching our reserves at all with, anything to do with, interest income for sure. Because
Okay.
interest income would just build our reserves, so my apologies.
Well, that's okay.
Touching the reserves is okay. Exhausting them?
Yeah.
We gotta
Crossword,
talk.
Daniel.
There's gonna be a
I
conversation.
apologize. Oh, my cheeks are turning.
I
Must be hot in here. So.
I
Is
didn't
now.
mean to do that to you, but.
No, it's not you know what, guys, ultimately, I appreciate that you look at my report, so I'm grateful for the question, but no, we're not exhausting any reserves at this point, so. And I will come back as to what I was thinking when I even put that in, so. To be determined, how about that?
Annual facility grant.
So the annual facility grant, we have to submit online. It doesn't require a motion but this is just, what the facilities department has come up with, for our projected spends for the upcoming year, for the 22-23 school year. That being said, it started back in, April 1st, but they generally don't give us the money until, July, so. And then at that point, we'll be on our toes to start spending it to get these projects done. So, and again, there's flexibility here. If all of a sudden something comes up that needs to be addressed, we will take something off of this list and add the new item on there, so.
Fluid document.
It is, I believe that's why it doesn't require, any readings or a motion, just because it is a fluid document for sure. So it allows us to pivot and react to any large items that come up or address a situation that maybe we weren't aware of at the time.
So,
Can we do that like a property sale and ask for way too much and hope that they give us a little bit more than what we wanted?
No, that's the exact number they gave us.
so basically, they give the exact number.
They give us 1.234253 million.
So what,
That's like 1.85.
I would appreciate a rounded number, but I'll take every $253.
so one of the things that we heard at AGM, and that's a concern throughout the province, is deferred maintenance on buildings, and our buildings getting further and further behind at the same time as that carbon neutral. So do we have an idea of what our level of deferred maintenance is and what it would be to bring our buildings up to what they need to be?
I don't have that information. Do I know if facilities has it? I believe that they would have more insight into it than me. But that is a plan to build just like to be more proactive as opposed to reactive. What issues are we not foreseeing, just taking care of them before they become issues, so.
Not that our buildings will be in a perfect state.
No.
But there will always be an element of triage, as there is in education programming, because the envelope is the envelope.
Yeah.
But to Helen's point, is we're not falling behind.
Right, right.
You can't- like, you get to a certain point where there's no amount of money gonna catch up to get that building right. You'd be better, smarter to start again.
And that's,
So that's kind of what she's
That's-
driving. at.
and that's the real concern
Yeah.
throughout the province.
Absolutely.
And later on in the agenda, we've got all the motions that went forward. There's no way that the annual facilities grants that are going out through the province
We'll cover.
will cover, and each year it gets, you know, sort of further and further behind. And I mean, some of these things obviously need to be done. Some of these things fall within, things that would be, well, there's that, but there's also items on here that, tie into the reduction of our carbon
Well,
footprint.
that's, yeah, I mean, they come in
Yeah.
30, 35 and say, you know, carbon neutral by then. Well, we're
Right.
so far behind, we couldn't
We
even
are.
possibly make that.
So this is items that we would cover under this particular envelope. There's other envelopes we can apply for, like we'll see coming up, like the annual program funding, where we do upgrade our Hewitt Creek and we do upgrade Dr. Kearney. Doing the wraps does like help with our carbon footprint. I don't know to what extent, but those are different, like solar panels, things like that. We can apply for separate funding outside of the AFG.
Okay.
The AFG is more of if something, our system goes down, we need to throw, then we can use this envelope, but we have to plan the spending as well, so.
So do we,
But it allows us to pivot.
do we know what the carbon neutral looks like? What, we don't,
Well, not the exact.
No, but the
no,
exact
no,
plan,
no.
so we've got an idea of what we want, we just don't have a plan.
No, we don't have a
It'd
carbon,
be sure nice to-
carbon neutral.
Yeah, sure, it'd be nice to have one.
It would be.
Well, yeah, we have policy that says we have a sustainability plan
Mm-hmm.
that we put in within 2 months or 3 months of being elected, but we haven't done any work on it. So, but there's been a few other things on our plate, so
Yeah.
I'm not gonna apologize for that. But
No, but it is a consideration and we have to get everybody on board.
Is that a?
To be continued.
it's
Yeah.
a
Does the
big
plan come forward from Victoria, or do we make our own?
We make our own.
Make our own.
Any other questions related to the annual facilities grant?
Just, yeah, maybe two. I know Chad, way back when, I don't know how long ago, once did the presentation to show kind of where they're at and where the buildings are at and what's been done, which I know they're doing their hardest to, obviously lots is always thrown at them. So then, now this is my maybe naivety, I was under the impression that a lot of these, especially like I see Charter Lake pop up and Central, I mean, if they have stuff in there from the beginning of dawn, that's a very long time ago. And I was under the impression that they kind of were, well, we're not looking at replacement because they're in such good shape that they're no longer even on a replacement list. So I'm a little bit, I don't know, do I need an answer?
I understand what you're saying. You're saying you replace the windows and then we put a replacement building in there. Is that?
Well,
what
no, but
chasing
we were more told that it was on the level, that it actually doesn't need replacement at all.
And that's actually true for Central.
Central, right?
And great point.
Yeah.
There is an ebb and a flow to this.
Mhm.
There is, things do evolve. For example, Central School, the entire basement was closed off to students. And so there were some significant changes in terms of certain access to certain parts of the building. Even Charter Lake got, if you might recall, $1.4 million in an HVAC upgrade. You know, we still want Charter Lake School to be replaced, but Central School was an example because if you recall at the time, they completely redid that whole central area around the canteen, the common area, the library, and the computer lab into one. Enough that it didn't become a priority anymore for replacement.
Okay.
Along with the fact that we have fewer students there now. We used to have over 400. And now when it went to single track immersion, don't need as much access or space. And so those are all factors that, as you know, each year may alter slightly what we think are the needs of each of our buildings.
Hi, can I also say that, Central School and even Charlie Lake has been on replacement since I've been a trustee and even before I was a trustee. And the reason it keeps getting recycled like that too is that according to the ministry guidelines of the numbers and how they put it, it's it's in seriously bad condition, even though it's not really, you know. But it's how they've numbered that whole system that they've done, that they're looking. I know that they were looking at replacing that system. I don't know where it's at now, but and it's also, you know, when you think about the age of the buildings, you know, they across the province, those are, you know, particularly Central is one of the oldest buildings in the province. And so, you know, but old doesn't mean bad. So we have done a lot of work, but we still want to maintain, keep putting it up there because we want the ministry to be aware, right? That we have this old building that, yes, we're maintaining it well. It's still safe. It's a good building. It's probably one of the safest buildings, but you know, if their requirement is, you know, like that, then we need to keep it on their radar for the day that maybe it does need to be replaced.
Buildings don't last forever when we're just kicking the can down the path. But
Well, and you're right, there comes a point that you're
money to be
putting
put
money into something, and I mean, that builds on Madeline's point too. If you're going to replace these, so many years down the road, do you want triple pane windows in them?
We've been forced to use better Band-Aids kind of thing, and it's working for us, but
Yeah,
And I
sometimes
mean-
the Band-Aids are more substantial than others, but I don't disagree with that.
yeah, and at the level where they say replace, we're above it,
Mhm.
but close to it, and to get to the replace level, it has to fall apart.
It's like a brand new vehicle. The day you drive it off the lot, it begins to depreciate.
unless you're a diesel.
And you just try and
in this
keep it
market.
as good as you can, right there.
Unless you're a diesel in this market.
Sell ours. So can I ask one more question, Sid? And it's just, maybe more curiosity than anything, that is it Upper Pine that's getting the water source? So are we looking at, a well?
Oh, well. Because they're hauling water right now. And, that is the one I didn't get notes. I wish I'd written my better notes on that one. Was there a well out there historically?
Not that I remember.
See, we have dug out and ours is potable, but I know it takes a little bit of work.
Yeah.
But it is perfectly well potable. I just want to, because I mean, yeah, water getting hauled in. I think Clearview does too.
Aaron?
But it's a
Was
mixed
there-
system, so I was just curious, because I mean, it's a not a free item, so I was just curious.
Yeah,
whether
they
we're
were
talking
looking
about a
at-
well or not.
Yeah, it would be, digging.
Aaron, was there ever a well out at Upper Pine,
I don't know.
over in that far corner?
I didn't,
Where, as long as I've been, they've hauled water.
you've always hauled water.
And where we can, and maybe this is over time, we look at the feasibility and financial trade-off of hauling versus drilling a well from time to time. So over time, long-term, it's in our interest to have a well, like we've done at Camp Cameron, for example. We finally we came up with a better water system there, and that takes time.
Well, and the other thing is, you know, with the price of fuel the way
Oh,
it
yeah.
is and all of those kinds of things, it's, hauling water is only going to go up.
Yeah.
And I still would love to know what happened to our water pricing and level of consumption during COVID and the washing of hands and things like that. Water suddenly became when you were hauling, a commodity that,
And the bonus is, we'll include it in our climate action plan, because there will be less transportation of water.
Except I have a little bit of bad news. I have no idea what Upper Pine looks like, but a lot of those wells, I know where we are, our area.
Yeah.
Forget about potable.
Interesting.
It's no
Okay.
good.
I'll take it.
Really?
without a
Okay.
lot of treatment.
All right.
And really, over the years that I've been a trustee, it has changed how they haul water, who hauled it,
Yeah.
who could haul it.
Yeah.
Because it's all changed, like, when I was first trustee, half the time it was just the local farmers beside them, and,
I mean,
no, really, truthfully, they didn't
Thank you.
have all
the
of
number of schools that we needed to, we might as well get our own water truck. Oh, yeah.
And you need
The
it
account
right
will-
away.
There's also currently there's a 20% surcharge on all
Yeah.
home water.
I know.
I'm not sure if we can't hire bus drivers, how we're gonna hire a water hauler.
That's what I was thinking.
They don't have to deal with kids.
I've got different clientele.
All right, our human resources summary report from Angela. Any questions related to that? Right. Calling the question then on Angela's report, all in favor? Moving on to item number 9, reports of the regular committee of the whole meeting, May the 9th, 2022, which is pages 16 to 18 in your agenda package. Give you a chance to look at it. Can I get a mover and seconder on this, please? Moved by Aaron, seconded by Madeline.
Sorry, I can't move it, I wasn't there.
Oh, sorry, yeah, you're right. Okay, moved by Madeline, seconded by Bill. Any errors or omissions? Calling the question then, all in favor? Business arising, any business coming out of those minutes? I think it's all done, but. Okay,
Who's all going to Doig Day? Or not
yeah,
Doig Day?
who's able to join Stephen at the Doig? I will be going. You are?
I will.
Sorry, to be more
Doig,
specific.
yeah, no,
May
not
31st.
Doig, Doig, the
Yeah.
May 31st trip. to the
Curriculum,
Doig.
more of a curriculum trip. So far I've got Helen, Madeline, and maybe David.
Yeah.
Well, at least there's some of us. so
Yeah.
that's good.
No, it's excellent.
All right, moving on then to, at the last meeting, we looked at a potential schedule of meetings for next year, noticing that we, for the in-camera meetings, have cut off a half an hour on them, knowing that sometimes we may have to go back into camera after the regular meeting. And we've worked around AGM and all of those kinds of things for BCSTA. So are there any, we need a mover and seconder, that the attached 2022-2023 Board of Trustees meeting schedule is what we move forward with. Moved by David, seconded by Aaron. Question?
We do have to remember that say December 5th, the new board could say, we don't like the schedule and move it to Tuesday nights or something like that.
Yeah,
At least we've got to start it. They've got to start it.
they've got to start.
Yeah, so it's
I
just,
mean,
I'm saying it's not concrete.
it's not concrete, but what it is it gives you the ebb and flow in your committee of the whole and how many you have to have a month and all of those kinds of things.
Yeah.
So, all right.
The only question I had to that, hadn't had time to think about it. And that I'm the worst person about the 6 o'clock because our dinner times are totally different from, I think, regular people, but that doesn't cut into, I see we have a great attendance, so it doesn't really make a difference if we're at 6 or 6:30.
I don't know.
If it-
So you see, your feeling is that the regular public might attend a meeting at 6:30 because it's that little bit later where 6 o'clock would be a harder time.
Like I said, I'm looking at the room, I don't know if it's gonna make a difference.
No, I don't think it will. Good point, though.
Well, and our public meeting goes long enough that there are
Exactly.
different times or different parts of the agenda
That's true.
depending on what they're interested in, or if it's a delegation that we can move, for example.
True.
It's just, and again, just to re-emphasize, we can go back into the in-camera after, it's just that that's time you can't get back.
Yeah.
If it's at the meeting.
All right. We had a mover and a seconder, right? Calling the question, and all in favor of this schedule? Right, I don't think we had any policies. We'll move on to BCSTA, and you all at the one meeting, we all talked about the BCSTA survey related to Indigenous grad requirements, and I submitted what we had to say, and then I attached the letter that the BCSTA has sent to Minister Whiteside, and there's certainly some of the same themes in here that we put in our surveys, like a request for support, a request for time, adequate funding, and the concept of some continuity and an umbrella structure. So that is given to you as follow-up to our survey. And then we have attached the disposition of motions from the AGM, and it was attached partly so as taxpayers, there was a number of us that attended. There was a lot of really important work done at that AGM that now guides our advocacy work, and by attaching those motions, that is brought forward as part of our public conversation. All right. And then BCPC, I don't think there was anything, and there's nothing related to board Prodi. So Angela, when were you going to do this? That's what I'm trying to figure out on my agenda.
It's number 11.
Number 11. Oh, good. Okay. Because it was talking about the readings, and I thought, but that doesn't tell me that she's doing her presentation. So we're going to move on to Angela in number 11 right now.
Okay. I will put it on the, can you turn the?
Yep.
So you can see that Brandy enjoys livening up my presentations. She clearly thought I was too boring before, but. So this is the preliminary annual budget. This budget's based on our enrollment projections done in February. Things to note, there's a 0% increase to wages. We did a 2 to 3% increase to supplies, not really keeping up with the cost of living, but we'll make it work. As we discussed, we have left TTOC and casuals higher than usual, as we would in a non-pandemic recovery situation. As we still have the daily health checks, as well as the 5 days at home, and unsure when the restrictions will change, so we just took that into consideration. So
Do we just let you do your report and then come back and ask questions, or what would you like to do?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, I like when you ask questions along the way, so let's
Okay.
ask questions.
So why are you not keeping up with the cost of living?
I don't know, like 5%, 6%. So, well, I thought it was 5. And,
They just came out with a new number, what is it? It's
I'm being
6
cautious, I am.
yeah,
No
because
mean,
we
right?
Getting extra
can, so
money.
it was,
I'm very cautious.
yeah. I figure we can, if I do 2 to 3%, we have some buffer in there as well as we can make cuts if necessary, right? We don't have to spend what we're used to spending. We can make cuts in departments as well. So the 2 to 3% is something
So if Victoria sees this, why aren't you making those cuts now? I mean, that leads to that question.
well, I have, yeah, that's a great, I have been speaking to the different departments, make, be conservative, don't,
Okay.
you can buy in bulk, buy in volume and hold, right?
Okay.
So it's not necessarily at the school level, the spending, those purchases that I'm concerned with. It's more the facilities, transportation, parts, supplies for construction, janitorial supplies. Those are kind of the areas that are more concerning, so.
Okay,
Oh,
I see where you're coming from.
okay.
I feel, I don't know, I feel comfortable with the 3%. And hopefully, like, we'll see it soon. We'll see it in January, October, where we will have to pivot and adjust, so.
Okay.
well, isn't the bottom line also, from what I understand, is that apart from the spending, no wage increases and all that, you've also didn't get an FTE increase either.
And that's a very good point. We didn't get any increase in student funding. So I guess I have my hopes that when we see staffing increases, we'll see another supplementary increase for cost of inflation. I don't know. But we're 3% and cuts, I think is doable within the district, so. Any other questions?
Anybody else?
I'm agreeing with them.
What's that?
I'm agreeing.
With,
It's too, low.
It's low.
I think the government should increase it.
Yeah, no, exactly. I agree with that, but they're not. They're, yeah.
What's being stated is that they're adding more and more money to education, but we've got more students. And with the cost of inflation, the dollar is not going as far. And that is not being recognized at all. Ida?
But on the same side, we have to keep a balanced budget, so we can't increase it too much, or we'll fall into a problem there as well.
Yeah, that's definitely a consideration as well. The dollars go into staffing as opposed, so if we're going to make a cut, it's going to be, we're not gonna cut a teacher as opposed to cutting back on our purchases. So those are just decisions that.
But it's hard to cut back on purchases because we can't cut back on brakes for a bus, for example.
Can't cut back what, sorry?
Like brakes for a bus, we can't not buy them.
Well, no, we can't not buy brakes for a bus, but we can, there's ways to address that. Do you amalgamate routes? Do you stay, like, I've asked Cindy to, currently this budget's based on keeping staffing levels where they're at for bus drivers, but I've asked her to amalgamate routes. So we're meeting to see where we can have some cost savings there. So we did this, Ida's right, our budget does have to balance. So this, we went with a 3% increase, so 2 to 3. This is the agenda, so we're just gonna look at the funding enrollment projections, operating revenue, operating expenditures by type, then by function, a review of Schedule 3A, which is special purpose funds, a review of Schedule 2, and a review of Statement 2. Here we go. So the preliminary projection is an increase of 46.131 school age enrollment. This is a combination of brick and mortar school enrollment as well as distance education. We projected an increase of 50 FTE for brick and mortar, and there is a minimal decrease projected for DL, which brings us to the 46.13. Adult enrollment is difficult to predict, so we took a conservative approach and predicted a decrease. And the other category is homeschooling and course challenges. And that brings us to a difference of 35.361.
So increase of 35 kids, you're saying? What is it?
46 kids. 35.
35.361. But the school age is what,
Yeah,
which is a larger amount of the funding. So.
because I mean, I'm also looking at it as in the theory that with the amount of available jobs we have here right now, if they were all filled from people that don't exist here right now, our population would go up hugely.
Which would be okay.
Oh, I understand.
There's a huge amount of jobs open right now,
Yeah.
and they're not being filled by local people. So if they were filled by people moving in, our difference would be up
Yeah,
in the
that's why this
200s.
is preliminary.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The best guess we could come up with for what enrollment will be for 22, 20.
Yeah, I'm just kind of saying worst case, like
Best
best
case.
case for the
Best
city,
case.
or best,
Yes.
yeah,
Crystal ball
best,
was
whatever.
super cloudy that day.
Yeah.
No, it was maybe
In my truck.
clear. In your truck, yes. These are the different components of education funding. So this first slide is based solely on the ministry funding. So the enrollment based we spoke to from the numbers earlier. We also get special education funding, ELL, English Language Learner funding, Aboriginal education funding, adult education funding. And then something I don't think I presented before is the different, I know I've shown you these, but I don't know if I've ever explained them before, is the salary differential, which provides additional funding to districts with higher than average teacher salaries. So this is just rough definitions of what these different components are. And if you want more in depth, I can walk you through
So we have an older demographic rather than younger teachers? Like,
Yeah, so
okay.
we get a top up of based on the province's average salary
Mhm.
and what our average salary is in our district,
Got it,
and they
okay.
top us
Yep.
up.
There's your dip, okay.
And then unique geographic factors based on several considerations. It's like 10 pages long, the geographic factors. So that brings in 9.9 million.
Okay, so we're doing kind of a northern living adjustment.
It's based on like how many students are in a certain area, and it's quite a complicated calculation.
And it was one of the areas that in the funding formula review, they really wanted looked at, because there was people like us that were saying that it's not covering
Yeah.
all of our uniqueness, and then you had other people thinking we were getting too much in there. So,
What over here?
Because
yeah.
that's, like, for example, when we were talking about the transportation and stuff, it was under this
Yeah.
factor.
Okay.
So, but it comes, there's a whole pile of how far you live from the,
Yeah, it's quite
Yeah.
complicated.
Okay.
The BC Education Plan provides $9 per FTE based on the previous year's September FTE enrollment. So this 2022-23 is based on the 2021-22 enrollment. So it provides $54,569. The Equity of Opportunity Supplement is funding to support additional services to students that are in care, or don't have a diagnosis or have other adversities to consider. So this is just some additional funding provided to, we added into the learning support model. And then the estimated distributed learning for February and May, and then summer learning, those are just additional funding windows for DL and special, and so there's additional funding windows for DL in February and May, and then there's additional funding opportunity for special education funding as well. So I'm trying to shake up my presentation a bit.
Oh, you're good.
And then we go into the operating revenue. So the ministry funding is at the top. Pay equity, graduated adult, transportation funding, and FSA funding. I know those items the district is getting, support staff benefits grant and EL, early learning framework. I can't add to the budget because I don't know that we're getting them at this time. MCFD, we have a contract with them, so that number's pretty static. The international and out of province funding is based on 55 international students, and then we have the Alberta students as well in that number. Miscellaneous income, what additional dollars come in. Rent and leases is the Cameron Lake and our teacherages, as well as the different childcare properties around, and then investment income.
So why did MCFT reduce their income to it? Why did it shrink by 7% or 6.5%?
It was just the, it could be that there's, I believe there's, they changed the funding, so the 129, like there's more, was more services offered the year before than there is this year, because we've had contractors back out and we can't get staff for certain programs, so we cut a little bit.
Could go back up, yeah. Could go, but the other thing too is, in that a lot of that service goes to the kids in that physically dependent category, and a number of kids physically dependent has actually gone down. There's a bit of a change of profile of need in that really extreme.
Okay. Thank you.
So just a pie chart, because we all love a pie chart. So the total operating revenue, the ministry is 97.8% of our total revenue. International and Alberta students bring in 1.3%, and then rental, investment income, and miscellaneous is 0.9%.
So miscellaneous income, does that include all of the donations we got for food and things like that?
No, the donations for food are in a special purpose fund.
So what is
Those
Okay.
are special purpose fund. That's other donations we might get. No, because that would go into a special purpose fund as
Is it
well.
like money for the track or something like that, or?
No, special purpose fund. Can I get back to you on that one?
No.
Well, it's down a significant amount.
Well, the one, we had a one-time payment, we only
okay.
expect to see it, so that was for 2021, 22, and
Okay.
we came back down. No, I'll get back to you on it for sure.
She likes to get back to
I
us.
do like to. I like that you're interested, trust me. Okay, operating expenses by function. So there's always from year to year, variances in allocation. The numbers are quite aligned with prior year, just because there's no staffing increases and there's no changes to funding. So we do have an estimated 50 FTE that we've taken into consideration in budgeting, but the percentages do vary, but they're quite aligned. you can see from the allocation, the budget strives to align with the strategic goals of School District 60, so that we have education at the forefront. But we must also ensure that we keep the district running by making sure the students get to school and keep the buildings safe. Increase in operations and transportation is reflecting the increasing cost of living and fuel prices, even though my cost of living may not be as high as you would.
Well, my other thing is, at one point, we had looked at some of these figures in relationship to what the provincial averages are. So I still wonder about our alignment with provincial averages for a like district in an area like this.
We'd be more aligned, I would like cost of living in Alberta rather than here, for fuel.
This is just another pie chart breakdown of, you can see the majority of the expenses go to instruction. So we can see there's a overall increase in wages. Not due to a percentage increase, just into some adjustments in in the previous screen, the different instruction versus operations and transportation. So we've come up with an increase, but again, the numbers are pretty consistent. We see projecting an increase in benefits with all increasing costs. As we come out of COVID, we're seeing employees starting to use benefits more, and they're roughly at 23%, which is kind of an average between all of our different groups. That's why the district is a desirable employer, because we have good benefits. Here's another, you can see that salaries and benefits are at roughly 85%, services and supplies 15%. And Schedule 2 shows you that revenues minus expense minus tangible capital asset purchases bring us to a balanced budget. Zero, so happy face.
Not exhausted. So it's not exhausted.
I haven't exhausted our, I'm never living that. As soon as you say that word, I instantly sweat.
You caused me some anxiety.
Yeah, well, sorry.
Everybody's extra tomorrow. Are you exhausted yet?
I am exhausted. So we move on to the special purpose funds. Again, we have to project, in our budget, everything is spent. So we are balanced there as well.
That's the one that you can't carry over this year.
We can carry some, and others we can't. With COVID, they've been very lenient with what we can carry forward. So it's been pretty great for me, but I think that we will see that change next year. So
Okay, so which of these would all that food donation go into?
it's in miscellaneous Fund 60.
Okay,
So within Fund 60, there's several projects.
okay.
And this is the preliminary budget bylaw, shows our total spending or expenses are at 85,900,731. With Schedule 4, it's easier to see it on there, but I'm sorry, Statement 2. So that's where we have the 71,255,894 from total expenses, tangible capital asset purchases from operating of 500,000, special purpose total expenses of 8,343,478, and capital fund expenses, which is amortization of assets at $5,801,359. And that is my budget presentation. You want more?
Helen, you can charge her for a little bit.
I have one here if you want.
You do? Okay.
Just for a piece of history,
Yes.
because, I looked it up when I was first trustee. I thought our budget for the school district was so high, because of course you're not used to millions of dollars. It was 34,500,000. 28 years ago, that's what the budget was.
Wow. Say it again, 34 million?
34,500,000. Because I remember when I was very first trustee, I thought, how can we spend that much money?
And now it's how do we stay within the boundaries of the money we have?
So I'm just thinking, musing on your comment there about the 2 to 3% increase. I think the big difference is because we're limited. This is a non-profit. Like, we cannot offload the increases onto customers or whatever. You have to stay within the boundaries as to what you're given, and they're not giving us more. So what I count
Yes.
has not been really addressed yet, that the dollar doesn't go as far. I mean, we're not gonna be the only district that's gonna struggle with that. There's gonna be lots of noise. And we've heard it at the AGM, like,
The other 4% is gonna have to come out of our surplus, right?
It depends if we can, I don't necessarily think it has to come out of our surplus. It's just a matter of how we're going to manage.
She wants to exhaust it.
no, she wants to manage it.
I'm never going to live it down.
There's flexibility in our operating budget.
I know.
There's flexibility built in as well.
She's
Again,
not cautious, I know, so.
no, and I can appreciate, the preliminary budget is preliminary. The more impactful budget is the amended budget, because that's when we can really start seeing,
Revenue versus spends, like at that point.
yeah, because we'll have our 1701 projections done, like actual kids that showed up in schools. And then this year, I'm expecting myself to be able to have some numbers by the end of November, so. I'll address your concern far before I exhaust our resources.
You're not even letting you down.
Well, actually, I'm taking the power from you.
So Angela has requested that, and I thank you, we have the budget in advance to look at before our June 30th deadline. So we do not have to do all 3 readings tonight. And Angela has requested that we only do the first reading of the annual budget bylaw tonight, because she is looking for feedback from the ministry that she has not got at this point. So, I need to move on in a second before I read it. Move it in second or before.
No, you can
read it first.
because we're not making a motion to do the 3 readings. So
Okay.
you could just read it and then have the mover and seconder. and discussion.
Okay.
Angela,
Thank you, Ike.
if you would like to jokingly pick on Brandy,
Yes.
she used a red pencil.
She's still with us.
Uh-oh, the little guy is holding a red pen
Red pencil.
on the first slide.
Oh, yeah?
That's not a good sign.
I'll let her know. Thank you.
So Erin has let us know that it's after 10 o'clock there, so she has checked to make sure that we have quorum.
Nicole was called away as well.
And so she's let us know, but we have quorum, so we're good to go. All right, so we're going to proceed with the first reading of the annual budget bylaw for 2022-2023. This is a bylaw of the Board of Education of School District Number 60, Peace River North, called the Board, to adopt the annual budget of the board for the fiscal year 2022-2023 pursuant to Section 113 of the School Act, RSBC 1996 C412, as amended from time to time, called the Act. The board has complied with the provisions of the Act, ministerial orders, and Ministry of Education policies respecting the annual budget adopted by this bylaw. This bylaw may be cited as School District Number 60, Peace River North Annual Budget Bylaw for the fiscal year of 2022-2023. The attached Statement 2 showing the estimated revenue and expense for the 2022-2023 fiscal year and the total budget bylaw amount of $85,900,731 for the 2022-2023 fiscal year was prepared in accordance with the Act. Statement 2, 4, and Schedules 2 to 4 are adopted as the annual budget of the board for the fiscal year of 2022-2023, and this is read at first time on the 24, thank you, day of May 2022. Our first reading is done. We're moving on to the capital plan bylaw for 2023. Do you want to talk about that?
Did we have a mover
Oh,
and a
mover and a
seconder?
seconder, and we're done, yes. Thank you. Moved by Bill, seconded by David. Now calling the question, all in favor? I need to make more cheat notes for myself. Need a mover and a seconder. Okay, and we called the question. So now we get to move on. Boom, 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 chop, chop, chop. Okay, turning over to you, Nadine.
Okay.
Sorry.
I can't just move this one. So the capital bylaw for 2022-23 has been, I'm sorry, I'm just trying, everyone has it in your package. So we have a few projects upcoming as well as some bus purchases. So we have Buick Creek, an exterior wall system, and is they're doing some other fixes to the exterior out there, as well as I believe they're actually, this is outside of this, working on the gym floor right now. So should be able to run in the gym freely. So, and then the Dr. Kearney is also getting an exterior wall system for $500,000. And we have 4 buses that have been approved for purchase as well. So then we need to do the capital bylaw reading, and then we send it off, and the ministry will give us our money.
So we have one,
More purchasing.
we have 1 year to complete those projects.
We have 1 year. We actually have till March 31st of 2023 to complete, but they should be finished this summer.
What is our timeline? Okay,
How much of the facilities are they contracting?
Facilities is currently working on the gym floor. The exterior wall system, like the wraps,
Yep.
will all be contracted out too.
how easy is it to get contractors?
I believe they're already speaking with,
Well,
the
okay.
yeah, so they have people lined up.
All right, let's see if we can get this one right. So I need a motion that we're going to do all 3 readings of the capital bylaw tonight. Moved by Dave, seconded by Madeline. All in favor? So this is the capital bylaw number 2223 CPSD 60-01 Capital Plan 2022-2023. Whereas in accordance with Section 142 of the School Act, the Board of Education of School District Number 60, Peace River North, hereinafter called the Board, has submitted a capital plan to the Minister of Education, hereinafter called the Minister, and the Minister has approved the capital plan or has approved a capital plan with modifications. Now therefore, in accordance with section 143 of the School Act, the board has prepared this capital bylaw and agrees to do the following. Authorize the Secretary Treasurer to execute a capital project funding agreement related to the capital projects contemplated by the capital plan or the capital plan with modifications. Upon ministerial approval to proceed, commence the capital projects and proceed diligently and use its best efforts to complete each capital project substantially as directed by the minister. Observe and comply with any order, regulation, or policy of the minister as may be applicable to the board or the capital projects, and maintain proper books of account and other information and documents with respect to the affairs of the capital projects as may be prescribed by the minister. Now therefore, the board enacts as follows. The capital bylaw of the board for the 2022-23 capital plan as approved by the minister to include the supported capital projects specified in the letter addressed to the Secretary and Treasurer and Superintendent dated March 15, 2022 is hereby adopted. This capital bylaw may be cited as School District Number 60, Peace River North, Capital Bylaw Number 2223, CPS D60-01. All right. Now I need a mover and seconder to adopt the first reading. Moved by Ida, seconded by Bill. All in favor? Okay. Now I need a motion that the second and the third reading can be done in short form. Moved by Bill, seconded by David. All in favor? All right. Proceeding with the second reading of the capital bylaw in short form. This is the capital bylaw number 2220 for 2022-23, CPS D60-01. We are doing everything in accordance with the section of the School Act, section 142, and we are doing it on behalf of the Board of Education in conjunction with the Minister of Education. And in accordance with section 143, the bylaw has been prepared. The Secretary Treasurer will execute the capital project funding agreements. We've got ministerial approval to proceed and commence the capital projects, and yes, we will work diligently. We're going to observe and comply with any order or regulation from the minister as may be applicable to what's going on, and we will maintain proper books of account and other information and documents. So we are enacting the 22-23 capital plan as approved by the minister based on the letter of March the 15th, and this is now to be cited as capital bylaw number 2022-23 CPSD 60-01. Could I have a mover and seconder for that reading, please? Moved by Bill, seconded by Madeline. All in favor? All right. Proceeding with the third and final reading of capital bylaw number 2022-23 CPS D60-01, and this is the capital bylaw for 22-23, and it is being done in accordance with section 142 of the School Act, and in accordance with section 143 of the School Act, the board has prepared the capital bylaw, and we will have the Secretary Treasurer execute a capital plan project funding agreement. We will commence with the projects. We will observe and comply with all relevant orders. We will maintain proper books and accounting of what we're doing. And we are moving, the board is enacting capital bylaw of the board for the 2022-23 capital plan based on the March 15th letter from the minister to the Secretary Treasurer. And this bylaw can now be cited as capital bylaw number 22-23 CPSD 60-01. Can I have a mover and seconder for that third reading? Moved by Bill, seconded by David. Calling the question. All in favor? All right, moving on to correspondence. So The District of Taylor, it's included in your package, has sent an invitation to see if anybody would like to participate in the Gold Panning Championships on July 29th, 30th, and 31st. It doesn't sound like we have to let them know ahead of time. It would be a matter of just showing up if there's anybody that wants to pan and represent us. So I, at this point, don't know what all my summer dates are, so I can't commit. If I was in town, I would go and play.
When is it?
July 29th, 30th, and 31st.
Film the attachment.
And it's just the 30th at noon, I believe, but it's
Yeah.
just, if you don't mind making a note, and if you're around, great, just
Just the
say
30th
you're
at
from
noon.
SB60.
Alright, so bringing that to your attention. All right, and then there also in correspondence was a request for somebody to be involved in the,
PRRD pool.
pool thing, yeah,
Yeah.
I just couldn't remember,
Oh, that's
couldn't
okay.
get PRRD out.
Yeah.
So they're looking at the feasibility project to examine options for a new pool and rec center. And they've asked for somebody from the district DPAC as well as members of the district's admin team, or it could be one of us. They're June the 7th from 11 to 12:15 is children, youth, and seniors groups and rural groups, and we would kind of fit in there a little bit. Okay, you want to go June 7th from 11 to 12:15?
And I've asked Deepak to send people there for that session as well.
Okay.
Can I go with you?
That works out well.
I'm going on my own.
But I'm not with us.
I'll just
And
hold record. No. So that is by the pool there, by the office they have by the pool, hey?
For now, if they change, they'll confirm, but I think we need to let them know.
Because it does seem like a very small,
Yeah, so there's an email in that,
Yeah, it was part of the package.
okay.
What time is it, sorry?
June 7th.
11 to 12:15 for the children, youth, and seniors groups and rural groups. And then Wednesday, June the 8th, from 1 o'clock to 2:15 for major employers. So, I mean, we could have representation at both if we had people that were able to attend both.
Yeah, we're a major employer too.
Pardon?
We're a major employer.
That's right, we could do both. Recognizing that the 8th is the retirement dinner. So. Are one of you guys, are any of you guys planning to go?
We'll probably go to one of them, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
So I'll just take a look and pick one according to my calendar.
okay.
But it sounds like we have some good representation. And by
Yeah.
the way, I've been to these before, but they're sort of circling back around again, so that's okay.
well, they might do the same thing again in 10 years. Still no
Pull the
hot,
paperwork out.
still no hot tub.
Still no hot tub. So I included, I think actually this particular person, this might have been the second time, maybe even the third time that she sent this. So I decided to respond back to her. Basically, she's hearing what's going on in the news and doesn't recognize that we're all over this, such to the point that the ministry wants us to be one of 3 districts in the province spearheading this. But I didn't think that it hurt to respond to her and let her know that all this stuff is going on, so.
Sorry, what's this?
Yeah.
It's in your package, it's to a Jolynn McKinnon, and when you look at the, when you look at the postal code that she's given us, and that, in one of her things, yeah, she's B1J495, and when I Google search that, that's actually a Fort St. John postal code. Sometimes when I get stuff that somebody sent to every single district in the province, I don't always bring it forward or respond to it, but this is a local citizen who is bringing forward stuff, and
I did get an email from her,
Did you?
so I don't know if everybody did.
I did get an email. Is there a package too?
Yeah, no, I got an email from her, so.
I just
We don't know if
responded.
she has students, but in any case, it's a very general type of inquiry. So
Yeah.
that's fine.
And I didn't think it hurt to
No, no, it's-
respond back.
For sure.
Right. So, unfinished business, I don't think so. We don't have any new business. Michelle is not. Oh, sorry, go
Sorry, I
ahead.
forgot to mention it earlier. Can I mention something?
Yeah.
It's just more of an information thing. I was talking to Joanne Bennett today. I don't know if you guys know her, but one of the things she's spearheading this year is for graduation. She's trying to gather up formal wear for students that don't have. Today, she told me she has around 40 dresses
Yeah.
gathered. The one that she's having problems with is the guy stuff, suits.
Yeah.
She even had, she told me, a dad of one of the girls approach her and say, I really want to go to the graduation with my daughter. I can't afford a suit. Kind of thing. Is there anything?
Has
And
it
she's-
been to the Grand March?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have
There's
to-
no
Yeah.
suit needed,
Yeah,
but.
and she's trying to, she's trying to, she said he's an average sized guy, so it's not hard to find him something. Kind of thing. But I'm just letting you guys know, like, I know it's been in the paper and stuff like that. I don't know if everybody's seen it. But it is, I mean, for some of the kids, I don't know.
Get a little pickier.
If I might suggest, just shoot out an email, and then any of us who might have something,
Yeah.
can let you know.
Yeah.
Give us rough sizes.
Yeah, I was just talking to her today. Like I told her I had some, dress shirts I'd give her, and I can-
You knew what size.
I got a tub of like 70 or 80 ties right in my home. So I'll grab a dozen or whatever.
Trying to clean out my husband's closet because.
Vintage look. The great
All
big
right.
lapel.
So we don't have Michelle here, we don't have Jenny here, we don't have anybody from Pete DPAC. Stephen, did anybody send you any questions?
No.
No. So, can I have a mover and seconder to bring the in-camera motions forward? Moved by Bill, seconded by David. All in favor? Now, Ida, would you like to be the mover to adjourn?
Of course I will.
Madeline, will you second that? All right, we're done. All in favor?
Good job, Helen. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very
Good
much.
job.
Doing a lot of meetings.
No, we did well.
You did good.
We did well.
So. Oh, no.
Don't say anything.
You don't know what I'm doing.
I thought you were
So I'm
Angela,
making the hockey.
I'm in the meeting.
I do appreciate that
My
we
son's at work.
didn't have to have all three
Yeah,
meetings tonight.
Do we have any heart
because we
conditions
worked hard at trying
in our
to-
family?
Okay.
Oh, sorry, I'm taking that outside.
SD, well,